So in fact, you just walked out of a class of negotiation skills, and perhaps we could jump right at the top and talk about what is boardroom negotiation all about?
Well, boardroom is like where strategic decisions have to be made, right? And strategic decisions means a lot of uncertainty and a huge sense of responsibility and impacts. We need to be more prepared and not being just skeptical, say, no, this is conflict things, it's not for me. Conflicts is one great source of innovation.
So, Leonardo, what would be some common pitfalls that leaders need to watch out for in high-stake negotiations?
Economics and financials. Sometimes we tend to jump too quickly to the financial side of. And of course, and if it's high stake, we have to talk about this as well.
Thank you so much, Leonardo, for being here with us today on this discussion. And I know you've just come out of a class, so really grateful for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shibani. Thank you for inviting me. This is a great pleasure talking about this topic together.
So in fact, you just walked out of a class of negotiation skills, and perhaps we could jump right at the top and talk about what is boardroom negotiation all about?
Well, boardroom is like where strategic decisions have to be made, right? And strategic decisions means a lot of uncertainty and a huge sense of responsibility and impacts. So that means preparation for them is absolutely important. Of course, risk-taking, right? But the more they look towards the future, the higher the risk and the more negotiations become important.
Wonderful. And, I just picked on a couple of words you mentioned here. So what do you think could be a summary of some of the key challenges, or as we refer to high stakes, particularly when you're talking about the decisions getting taken in the boardroom and the negotiations, the outcomes of those?
Right. So that's a good question. Thanks for asking this. Well, one of the things is definitely managing uncertainty, as I've already quickly mentioned. So this is one of the biggest challenge, and so that also belongs to the risk profile of every person, every team board member, right? So according to our risk profile, we may deal with uncertainty in a way or the other, but there is definitely something that we need to get used to and to need to be very well prepared in dealing, right, continuously and with a very high frequency than it was in the past. That's the first thing that I think is a very good challenge. Then the next one is being able to speak different languages, let me say. When I say speaking different languages, from a technical point of view, just embracing diversity, there we go, which is much more than a challenge. I think it's a great opportunity, basically. And so they have a huge responsibility in fostering such kind of mentality and mindset within the organizations to be able to embrace diversity. Only the real diversity and the conversation and the transparent and trust-based type of conversation, this can really lead to a much better future. So I would put these top challenges, the two top challenges on top of, I would say, board members, but it's not just for board members.
Absolutely. You've so beautifully touched upon the relevance of diversity in negotiations, particularly when you need to have the voice of every stakeholder. So is there any particular scenario where you think that becomes even more important in terms of having a very diverse voice placed at the table for negotiations?
Well, one of the first things that come to my mind is maybe when there is a cultural differences. It's not the only context, but I definitely say it's one of the contexts where actually it's maybe much more evident, let me say like this. There are many other situations where it is, but maybe in the cultural differences. And today, again, not just today, since a while, we are really in the global setting, and global also means really, again, taking care, understanding carefully all the features and characteristics of every single individual in the world. And again, being able to finding the right way to interact with each other. This is maybe the setting where I would say it's pretty much evident. But other than this, if I may quickly, also within even a small team within the same country, located within the same city, you may say, hey, what's the difference here? Well, the team anyway is exposed through let's say any kind of social media. It's exposed anyway. It's like a little window towards the world. And so anyway, there is an interaction with such kind of diversity. So this is, that's simply beautiful.
Yeah, and we're not disconnected from each other anymore. So the world
Sure.
is so interconnected in a way that it would be, if I may say, quote unquote, rather foolish to not take into account that, we must be able to embrace diversity in our perspectives. Fantastic.
Yeah. That's.
Do you think this also matters, particularly in some types of negotiations, such as investor and stakeholder discussions, or perhaps conflict management, or the most popular executive compensation? So perhaps, we could talk about these three.
Yeah, right. So, well, actually, any moment we are talking about financials, right? So let me start from M&A or even compensation. Anyway, we have financials and then monetary type of discussion. There is a kind of tendency to get a little bit more, or let's say less open to, at least initially, there is a kind of way of feeling to be a little bit scared in sharing facts and sharing numbers. And because we don't know exactly how the other party is going to use it eventually, right? In my favor or not. So this is opening like a huge and very nice discussion when it comes to talk about the value of something. And so, like in M&A, one of the biggest recommendation that comes to my mind that I would share, and I do share when we go and teaching negotiation skills to people who are involved in M&A operations, before you put on the table any figure, it is extremely important that you first and foremost profile every single party, and that takes time. That takes time, but this is absolutely essential. And then once you have really understood it, you can really start placing figures. That can be even great for you, but it becomes much easier to find a common ground and then eventually a nice final agreement. And so this is also true. I mean, if we go back to the third scenario, you just mentioned the compensation, and same thing actually. We really need to, that's a very sensitive topic. We just need to understanding each other, where you want to be, not just in the very short term. This is my second little suggestion here, even in the long run. So compensation is something that you are recognizing value that I do have potentially now. But what about together with compensation, progression, future development? So maybe I can be in a different state in terms of competencies that I do have in the near future. So compensation is something that could be, can evolve basically as, I as a professional will evolve as well. So again, but this is not just focusing the very short term. If we M&A or compensation, if we go on the short term, this is not lending, let's say, I don't want to say nowhere, but it's not lending to the best side of, or the most profitable or beneficial, even better, for all the parties. When it comes to the second scenario you mentioned, that is conflict management, which is, well, to me, when we say conflict, as we know in the academia, is not necessarily a negative thing. It's much more neutral, right?
Yes.
So, and again, conflict sometimes, I wrote an article back to 2013 that was like pushing in favor of creating conflicts. A little bit provocative, but as we know, conflicts is one great source of innovation.
Yes.
So again, it depends on how we deal with conflicts within organizations or within a small, large, huge team, whatever. If we are able to, and leveraging our negotiation skills, basically, we can transform any potential negative tension in a nice, constructive conflicts that could be very useful for every single member of the team or of the organization. And so it could become a great opportunity for developing professional development and growing more and more and more. So this is beautiful, simple again. So we need to leverage more. We need to be more prepared and not being just skeptical, say, no, this is conflict thing, so it's not for me. There we go. The last thing, if I may, it's like do not postpone conflicts or not tend to say conflicts should be avoided. This is something that can be risky. So of course there is maybe a right time where we can better deal with conflicts than other times. But avoiding or just canceling, we are no, conflict is not for me. I mean, going back to your initial statement, it was like for managers, what's in there for leaders, manager today. We're all dealing conflicts. It's basically our daily job. So,
wonderful. That was amazing, and you actually made conflict sound very important, very necessary, And very nice, if I may add to that at the end of it. So Leonardo, are there any 3 or 4 key strategies that you think, leaders and managers need to keep at the back of their mind when they are pursuing a negotiation of any kind, for that matter?
Well, the first thing I would say is minimizing uncertainty. Mm-hmm. So collecting as much as possible information. And when I say information, it means like first quantity. Mm-hmm. So sometimes at the very beginning, we don't even know exactly the type of info that we really need. Mm-hmm. So what is more relevant or less. So initially, it would be better to know at least the sources I can talk with or interact with to get information, right? So this is the first strategy I would recommend to be very well prepared on. Second one is having good partners. We need to have sparring partners, right? So again, you have a good portfolio and good names in the list of your contact list in your smartphone maybe. And so at the moment, it depends on the type of negotiation, type of context, type of cultural setting. I mean, you can maybe talk to some of those contacts that can help you. And it becomes like I'm not saying that you need necessarily to invite them on the meeting, mm-hmm. but just having someone playing the role of ghost negotiator. So you can you can touch base with, you can just look for some advices, and then you do your job. This is the second strategy that I would say is very important. The third one that is somehow connected with the first one is part of the collection of info. It's profiling carefully every single person. So profiling every single person you are going to have a meeting with, the negotiation meeting with, so directly and also the indirect people that could be interested. So it's like kind of stakeholder basically analysis. But again, not just usually what I've seen lots of people, and this may be a mistake, they tend to profile the person. So if I know I'm going to have a meeting with you, Shibani, so then I try to profile you and say, hey, let me see your background, what kind of negotiation you've done in the past and so on and so forth. It's important, but it's not enough. I may also want to see if I know anyone else, or we do have in common someone, and maybe I can get to you through this third party in order to send you a message or in order to share some info with you. So again, directly and indirectly. So those are basically the 3 strategies I would say I would recommend.
Oh, excellent. Do you think there's any one particular style of negotiation that seems to be popular with leaders at senior levels? Do they typically look at one particular style?
Well, this may be a stereotype, so I don't want to follow this, but let me say this, seriously speaking. No, there is no one single style. The best style is actually the one that is more flexible and adaptable. So what is very important is to know, each of us, what is the style that actually we are more confident with, and then playing as a team.
Sure.
It becomes much better. At the moment we're facing a specific negotiation, according to a number of factors, we can even be ready within the same team to hand over each other, to role play, and so to help and supporting each other. And so we then find the best style at that moment. So this will be my recommendation here again. Yeah.
What is your best style,
well,
Leonardo?
Adaptable.
Okay.
And if I may, to be a little bit more precise, I tend, and I do really believe to start negotiating in a collaborative way, even if the other party sometimes they are not interested into. But anyway, I give a trial. I want to try to convince the other party that we may find a better for each of us final deal or agreement if we both are on the same page. But that's very important. If after a while I see that we're not playing the same page, I have to change strategy, right? So I need to, again, adapting to. But yeah, this is so initially, definitely being collaborative. And then we will see.
So put the interest before the position.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And see what is it that each of the parties is driving towards, rather than holding on to the amount or the area or the outcome of that.
Yeah.
I think that always works, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely for interest first, and then position will become there. We will see, but this is the second kind of layer of discussion.
Absolutely. In my mind, an example comes up where there was a young lady who essentially was suing a large corporate, and it all boiled down to her receiving an apology from the senior management, and she wasn't really interested in suing them for a large sum of money. It just came down to that one apology. So sometimes just understanding what is a driver behind that particular position makes a world of difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
So, Leonardo, what would be some common pitfalls that leaders need to watch out for in high-stake negotiations?
Well, the first thing is in high stakes in particular, there is like economics and financials. Sometimes we tend to jump too quickly to the financial side of. And of course, and if it's high stake, we have to talk about this as well. But do not be too much, let's say, under pressure or just rushing. Sometimes, and this is second mistake or pitfall, is that we rush without actually being under pressure. So we self-generate, that's what I'm trying to say, a kind of time pressure, although it is not the case. So we have to understand carefully how much time we really have for, and take all the time that is available, because time, as we know, is one of the most ever important source of negotiation power. So wasting time can be very can be a pity. I mean, we're just wasting opportunities and wasting value. So those are the top two mistakes that we do. And the third one, if I may, I'm not giving a ranking, but the third one is again, not being prepared. I mean, it sounds like, nothing new, but unfortunately still true. And when I say not being very well prepared, in particular, again, in understanding and knowing each other. So not just being prepared on the technical side of, we're here to talk about this specific law or this specific financial condition. People are, technical expertise are there. But other than this, we need to understand that preparation means also many other things. And so when I was saying we're not very well or not enough prepared on, I was referring to this second part of. So it's pretty much overlooked, and so we should give a little more time to this side of the preparation. And if it's not in our DNA, it's no, maybe it's not for me, or I don't know, it's something I still need to learn. Never mind. This is the power of team.
Absolutely.
So let's team up and let's make it together.
So do you believe that the SDA Bocconi management programs have a huge focus on building this kind of a skill with students? Do you believe that we've got a good set of conversations and techniques that we impart?
Well, this is working on the social, let's say, level, social skills basically at large. Well, going back to your question, I do definitely agree. We're introducing, and we have already actually introducing lots of other programs, short or long ones, the behavioral side, right? Behavioral skills. And as we perfectly know, this is something that, since a while, been said to be furthermore developed, right?
Absolutely.
There are lots of big organizations that are highlighting the importance of this side of skills. And so, I think we definitely have it. So we're lucky to work on this area, and I really hope we can make impact on our students and participants. In
fact, you're our expert on negotiations and a revered faculty member and professor in this area. So is there one takeaway you would like the audiences or the listeners to take away as far as negotiations as a word or a topic is concerned?
Well, there is something that comes to my mind. Thanks for asking this very nice question. One thing comes to my mind is that one, I would recommend everybody, either you like negotiating or you don't even know exactly what negotiation is, or you don't like it at all, whatever, go and observe a negotiation. So starting from observing, do not just think, hey, I need to be prepared for doing it. Of course, sooner or later we do it, and we do this multiple times per day, consciously or not. But anyway, my little suggestion is try to become a great observer. This is a very good, let's say, starting point, and sooner or later I think that most of us will fall in love for negotiation.
Wonderful. Listen more than speak also.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Leonardo. It was such a pleasure and an honor to have you here with us.
Thank you, Shibani.
We really appreciate this.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.